This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Friday, the 31st day of May, in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The APNU AFC opposition believes that it is now clear that although billions of dollars were set aside for capital projects in this year's budget, the government has failed to execute critical repairs and maintenance works along the Linden to Lethem corridor. At a press conference at Congress Place today, executive member of the PNC Reform, Mervyn Williams, said the records would show that the national budget for capital projects jumped from $387.8 billion last year to $666.2 billion this year. He said despite the significant increase, the government has failed to execute necessary works in several areas.
With all of this money available for capital expenditure, 60% or most of the national budget, the government has not put a single piece of equipment in Region 9 or in any hinterland region for that matter to respond to crisis situations such as these. The government does not have a maintenance program that kicks in during the dry season or that is on standby during the rainy season. These $666 billion target contractors, transferring wealth to contractors' pockets and bank accounts, mostly for coastal operations.
Mr. Williams said while President Irfan Ali was campaigning in Region 1, the residents of the Rupununi continue to suffer due to the lack of a national or regional disaster preparedness plan to effectively respond to the collapse of the road at Kurpukari and threats to a number of bridges in the area due to torrential rainfall.
Roads have been washed away, bridges have been destroyed, farms have disappeared, and homes are at risk. Schools, health facilities, road transportation, and other services have been disrupted. Clearly, there is no national or regional disaster preparedness plan. This government's response is woeful.
According to the opposition, the government was warned of the likelihood of floods hitting the Rupununi region but failed to heed the warnings. He said the unfortunate floods in Brazil following the protracted El Nino dry season served as a good enough warning to the government to get its act together.
The Jagdeo Ali regime ignored the warning signs. The rains came. And with those rains, the suffering of the mostly indigenous population of Region 9. As we speak, roads continue to be washed away by torrential rains. Bridges continue to be blown away by ferocious tides. The food shortage in the region will soon worsen. Diseases, waterborne and others, become a frightening possibility. Citizens are hearing nothing from the Ministry of Health and its state of readiness in this regard.
The Public Works Ministry in a statement said that emergency restoration teams have been dispatched to the affected areas. But according to Williams, warning signs were ignored.
It is an open admission of the lack of preparedness, the ignoring of readily available warning signs, and the inability of the government to plan and execute maintenance programs. It is clear that this regime thrives on disasters. Disasters permit them to spend state resources in a manner that bypasses scrutiny.
Mr. Williams said communities in Regions 7 and 8 are also at risk of severe flooding, and the government ought not wait for another disaster to strike before putting the requisite preventative and mitigation systems in place. Several parts of Linden and Region 10 were also flooded this week, with officials there calling for urgent relief measures. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Excitement and win the chance of a lifetime with Lucozade Energize Your Drive promotion. Enter to win a fully loaded Toyota CHR or a ton of cash. $500,000 and $250,000 respectively. Just purchase 2 or more Lucozade 360 milliliter at participating outlets. Write your contact details on the back of the receipt and place them in the marked boxes nationwide. It's that simple. And you're on your way to energize your drive with Lucozade. This promotion runs April 12th to June 7th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply.
2 day and night facilities will be constructed in Regions 2 and 4 to provide a safe space for the children of working parents. Monies will also be spent to rehabilitate and improve the facilities at the Sapphire Care Center and Mahaika Children's Home. This $287 million investment is part of the 2024 national budget, which is supported by revenues earned from oil production.
The Ministry of Public Works this afternoon announced the reopening of the section of the Kurupakari to Anai roadway that got badly damaged 2 days ago when it collapsed and got washed away just after heavy rainfall as a large truck was crossing. The situation led to the road traffic between Georgetown and Latem being severely affected. Emergency repair works got underway early yesterday with engineers and the crew from the Ministry of Public Works carrying out those repair works throughout the night. Contractors also assisted with the work. The Ministry of Public Works said the roadway is now open, but to only light traffic at this time, and contractors have been instructed to widen channels for better water discharge in the area, owing to the heavy rainfall. The stockpiling of materials for the comprehensive repair of the washed-out bridge has started and restoration works are set to continue this weekend. Municipal news to report now. The 2024 budget for the Georgetown City Council will be presented next Monday. The announcement followed a heated argument at the council over delays in presenting the financial paper. PPP Civic Councillor on the Georgetown City Council, Alfonso de Armas, in a letter to the editor recently, said while the Municipal and District Councils Act stipulates that the City Council must submit its financial report no later than the 31st of March, the City Council has neither a budget for this year or a financial report for last year. But while Councillor de Armas sought to lay blame at the feet of the opposition-led Georgetown City Council, APNU Councillor Leland Saul, who heads the Finance Committee, fired back. According to him, the letter was intended to mislead the public and to bring the Georgetown City Council into disrepute, although a decision had already been taken on the budget by the council.
This council would have sat and decided on the budget. We would have given instruction on the way forward, how it should be done. The council does not sit down and write the budget. It is for the administration to prepare the budget. We give instruction and they understand that.
Saul said in writing the letter, Councillor de Armas failed to take into account the challenges confronting the administration at the level of the Treasurer's Department, which is short of staff. But Councillor de Armas challenged the council to prove him wrong. He said while there is a draft budget, the fact of the matter is, to date, a budget has not been approved by the City Council.
And despite being halfway through this fiscal year, we have no budget to guide us. And our budget, as you know, is not just a piece of paper, but it contains the vision and the strategy for our city moving forward. The fact that that budget has not been presented as yet is a serious concern of mine.
City Mayor Alfred Mentor told the councillors that in writing the letter, the RMS sought to exclude himself from the council when he was present when the draft budget was discussed and is aware of the work in progress. He too called on Councillor the RMS to be cognizant of the challenges facing the Treasurer's Department.
Ramp up your excitement and win the chance of a lifetime with Lucosade Energize Your Drive promotion. Enter to win a fully loaded Toyota CHR or a ton of cash. $500,000 and $250,000 respectively. Just purchase 2 or more Lucosade 360 milliliter at participating outlets. Write your contact details on the back of the receipt and place them in the marked boxes nationwide. It's that simple. And you're on your way to energize your drive with Lucosade. This promotion runs April 12th to June 7th, 2024. Terms and conditions apply.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
Was Dura last year. It was so nice. Me and them girls had real fun. It's the best party I ever went to. As a big one.
Back by Popular Demand, Team Extra present the Man's Birthday. June 22nd, 12 one-man band and running live. Stitchy Fight Machine, Murphy Invasion Band, Love Connection, Genesis, Big V, Cali World Band, Aaron the Entertainer, Honor Smooth, and many more. Early bird tickets at $2,000 at Just You Size Boutique, White Castle Fisher, Fireside Suites, extra beer, Starbucks, compliments of Fireside Suites, extra energy drink, and extra beer. The Band's Birthday, Saturday, June 22nd at the National Park.
Region 10 Chairman Darren Adams today challenged the government to fund the creation of a drainage plan for the mining town of Linden, and secondly, to build drains, then roads. The challenge by Adams comes even as residents of Linden, and particularly those in Caracara, Rainbow City, and Retrieve, are still reeling from the effects of massive flooding and erosion that took place earlier this week.
It is imperative that proper action is taken to rectify the situation and prevent future devastations in our community. The people of Linden deserve better, and it is time that central government takes responsibility for their negligence and prioritizes the welfare and safety of all citizens.
The government and the Regional Democratic Council, as well as the Linden Mayor and Town Council, have been trading blame for the recent floods, which have resulted in millions of dollars in losses to residents. But the Region 10 Chairman today maintains that the responsibility for the recent disaster lies squarely with the central government. He said the Irfan Ali administration has consistently ignored the well-informed policy decisions and representations made by the elected council regarding the urgent need to upgrade the drainage system in the region and in Linden.
Since 2020, the Regional Democratic Council has been advocating for the prioritization of drainage systems upgrades in Linden. This policy decision was unanimously voted on and supported by the local leaders, who understand the pressing need for effective drainage infrastructure to mitigate flooding and erosion risks. Despite these efforts, the central government has continuously disregarded these calls for action and shockingly removed over 50 proposed drains from budgets of 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024 combined.
The regional chairman said in the 2024 budget the government approved funding for only 3 drains in the entire region under the capital program. He said the government's failure to execute sensible policies and allocate funds for critical infrastructure projects has directly contributed to the disastrous flooding and erosion taking place in Linden. Longtime politician and former General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform Oscar Clark was laid to rest today. With a casket draped with the flag of the People's National Congress, the former city councillor, who was also a former member of parliament and a former government minister and diplomat, was remembered as a stalwart and patriot, who was also a committed son of the soil. At the funeral service held this morning at the St. George's Cathedral, leader of the opposition and PNC Reform, Aubrey Norton, said Oscar Clark lived a life of service to the party and the country.
Today, our party, the People's National Congress Reform, bids farewell and pay tribute to a dedicated member and stalwart, a patriot and committed son of Guyana, the late Comrade Oscar Eliezer Clark, CCH, who gave lifelong service to our party and country that exemplified the meaning of being, and this comes from Dr. Ptolemy Reed, if I remember clearly, of being steadfast in season and out of season. He was a loyal, committed, and pleasant soul.
Mr. Norton noted that in providing yeoman service to the people of Guyana, Clark served as Minister of State, Minister of Regional Development, Minister of Home Affairs, and Guyana's High Commissioner to Zambia. Equally important, he served as a Member of Parliament for 20 years and a councillor at the level of the Georgetown Mayor and City Council for several years. For his dedicated service, he was bestowed with the Cacique Crown of Honor, a national award. Former leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Robert Corbin, said Oscar Clark was a true patriot who illustrated his shining example as a son of the soil.
I can attest to the fact that Oscar Clark gave dedicated service to all Guyana with joy and a deep understanding of the times in which he lived. Throughout his political and public service, his integrity was unquestionable, and he served with distinction. He was a gentleman, quiet and unassuming, warm, approachable, and a keen listener. He exemplified the traits of loyalty to country, dedication to duty, fidelity in relationships, and love of the common people.
For his children, his wisdom and warmth will be profoundly missed. In a tribute on behalf of the children, Clark's daughter, Paula Clark, said their conversations were always filled with laughter, love, and a deep understanding. She said those are treasured moments that the children and the family will continue to hold close.
Dad, you decorated my life, you decorated our lives with an abundance of love, wisdom, and countless laughs. You had a way of making every moment special. And your presence was a source of comfort and strength. You taught us the importance of integrity, always emphasizing that it was the most crucial trait a person must possess. Your guidance shaped us into the people we are today, instilling in us values that will carry us forward.
Tributes also flowed from the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir, the Mayor of Georgetown, Alfred Mentor, and representatives of the Brotherhood and the Mothers Union. Oscar Clark was 84 years old. Well, let's tell you now that 16 months after he traveled to the U.S. and was arrested and charged for outstanding drug-related cases, convicted Guyanese drug trafficker Barry Dataram has been sentenced to time served. Dataram, who had been found guilty in Guyana and served jail time on a number of drug trafficking charges locally, traveled to the United States in January of last year and was promptly arrested on arrival at the JFK airport in New York on outstanding warrants. However, 2 days ago, a New York judge imposed a time-served sentence on the convicted drug trafficker. His entire case in the U.S., including the sentencing details, has been sealed by the U.S. authorities. Sections of his indictment have also been redacted. The 46-year-old Guyanese man, who also holds U.S. citizenship, had fought off a number of extradition requests by the U.S. in the local courts. In 2016, a local arrest warrant was issued for him in relation to drug-related cases. He was nabbed in Suriname and handed over to the local authorities. After he was convicted on the drug trafficking charges here, he was sentenced to 5 years in jail. When he was released, Dataram kept a low profile, but got his U.S. passport renewed and decided to make a trip to the U.S. in January of 2023. While the details of his U.S. indictments were never made public, it was suspected that the indictments were linked to a number of various drug operations that originated in Guyana with operational links in the U.S. Dataram now continues to live and work in the United States.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyoil is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyoil's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyoil has now repositioned itself as a market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Bust the flavors. We're full of flavors. Bust the flavors, that me crave for. We're full of flavors. Tell your neighbors about the bust the flavors. Grab a bust the flavors. Yeah, thirst buster. Grab a buster. Bust the flavor, taste the savor. Bust the flavor, flavors. Bust the flavor, flavors.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall in the region. The Bahamas government has unveiled a tax-free budget of US $3.54 billion to Parliament, with Prime Minister Philip Davis saying that many elements of this fiscal plan extend and enhance the measures initiated by his administration since assuming office in 2021. During his address to legislators, Davis highlighted key elements of the budget, emphasizing that it excludes an expected reimbursement of US $75 million from the Grand Bahama Port Authority, GBPA, stressing that the government is owed a total of US $357 million by the GBPA. He said the total expenditure is expected to amount to US $3.61 billion, of which recurrent expenditure accounts for US $3.27 billion and capital expenditure for US $344.5 million. Davis said the fiscal deficit is expected at US $69.8 million, or 0.5% of gross domestic product, with the primary balance showing a surplus of US $586.9 million, or 3.9% of the GDP. He said, given this, the debt to GDP ratio has been projected at 75.3% of GDP at the end of the fiscal year 2024-2025. If May is any indication, Cuba is in for a long, hot summer, says Havana Hearst driver Osmel Valdez. The 52-year-old Havana resident runs a transportation service through the Cuban capital's sweltering streets. This month, the heat has been terrible, he says. Across the island nation, summer temperatures arrive nearly 2 months early, made worse by hours-long blackouts amid fuel shortages and power plant failures. With nighttime temperatures reaching 27 degrees Celsius and daytime temperatures soaring to 35 degrees Celsius, there is no escape, local residents say. Ramon Perez, who works for Cuba's Climate Center, says May looks to be the warmest on the Caribbean islands since 1951, when record keeping began there. Cuba's climate is gradually becoming hotter and hotter, Perez told Reuters. Last summer was the hottest on record, and this one is on track for similarly sweltering temperatures, a phenomenon Perez attributes to global warming. The growing frequency and intensity of severe weather, both on land and in oceans, is symptomatic of global human-driven climate change that is fueling extremes, experts say. The El Nino weather pattern, which began to weaken in March, has also fueled above-average land and sea temperatures across the globe. Those conditions have left Cuba, which lies at the stormy intersections of the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the Caribbean Sea, exceptionally exposed to a hurricane season predicted to be among the worst ever. And finally tonight, international news. Donald Trump became the first U.S. president to be convicted of a crime on Thursday when a New York jury found him guilty of falsifying documents to cover up a payment to silence a porn star ahead of the 2016 election. After 2 days of deliberation, the 12-member jury pronounced Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts he faced. Trump watched the jurors dispassionately as they were polled to confirm the unanimous verdict. Justice Juan Merchan set sentencing for July 11, just days before the Republican Party is scheduled to formally nominate Trump for president ahead of the November 5 election. The crime of falsifying business documents carries a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison, though those convicted often receive shorter sentences, fines, or probation. However, he will not be jailed ahead of sentencing. The verdict plunges the United States into unexplored territory ahead of the November vote, when Trump will try to win back the White House from Democratic President Joe Biden. Trump, 77, has denied wrongdoing, and an attorney representing him said they would appeal as quickly as possible. This was a disgrace, Trump told reporters afterwards as he proclaimed his innocence and repeated his complaints that the trial had been rigged against him. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.